Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm a technology expert at the Human Manual. In this video, we'll be showing you 10 things you're probably not using or aware of inside Gmail. Let's start off with the first thing, inbox views. Save time with the perfect inbox. This is a great feature within Gmail, which allows you to change the way your emails are displayed in your inbox label. A perfect example of a priority inbox or a different type of inbox view is to have all unread messages at the top so you can use your inbox as a workflow. Let's show you the different types of priority inbox, or the different types of inbox views that you can have. To switch to a different type of inbox view, hover your cursor over the inbox label on the left hand side in your sidebar, click this drop down, and then go and choose one of the different types of options that are here. So classic, which is pretty much a free for all. It has your unread and read and labeled conversations all listed all together. As you can see, I have some unread messages here and some read messages in the dark grey at the top here. So let's go and have a look at the next one, which is important first. This uses the important icon, which is the yellow icon next to your star. This will display all conversations in your inbox that have the important icon attached. This is different from someone using Outlook and marking an email as important. This is Gmail determining which email conversations are important to you, and as time goes on, it becomes more intelligent. To speed up the learning curve, you can click on the icon to remove it from certain emails. And that teaches Gmail then that that type of email in that particular context is no longer important to you. This option is great for those who have been using Gmail for a while, or for those who will dedicate a little bit of extra time per email to teach Gmail which certain conversations are important to them. So as you can see, important at the top, everything else at the bottom. Let's go and have a look at the next one, which is unread first. Probably, I would say, one of the most used sort of inbox views that people will have. And unread first will literally do what it says on the tin. It will have all the unread messages at the top. As you can see, they're displayed here, that are inside your inbox. So it displays the first 25. If you want to change or customize that, you need to click on this drop down here and choose how many items you want to show up to. And this option is just fantastic because these are for people who do get a lot of emails, and sometimes they roll onto unread messages can roll onto different pages if you're a person who receives more than 50 to 100 emails a day. So this can be fantastic for you to keep a track of everything, and actually use your mailbox here as a form of workflow. So as you can see, you've got unread at the top and everything else at the bottom. So now let's go and have a look at the next one, which is starred first. So if you're a meticulous person, then perhaps you've been using stars in Gmail quite a lot, and rather than having to always jump to your stars label, why not have them at the top of your inbox? Remember, there are lots of different types of stars, and they can mean whatever you want them to. This option is great for those people who want to stay organized, using stars as a way of categorizing tasks. So as you can see, if I star this message, after a few moments it will appear up there. Star this one and that one there. It will do the same. If you want to start using other stars, what you need to do is go into your mail settings, then settings again, and as you can see here in the general tab, you've got this stars list. You can choose what stars you want by clicking 4 stars or all stars, or you can just drag and drop the ones that you want to use and reorder them in terms of how you want to see them in terms of your priority. If I scroll down to the bottom and click Save Changes, I will now be able to double click or triple click to get different types of stars up. You can see I'm doing that there. If I refresh my inbox, they come up to the top here. So starred, all different types of stars, and then everything else at the bottom. So now let's have a look at priority inbox. So this is now actually you wanting the best of both worlds listed above. So everything I've showed you before, let's see how we can take all of that and actually create our own little form of priority inbox, because you can. You can have important and unread, then starred emails, and finally everything else. So let's show you how to do that. Hover over inbox again and click on the drop down and then go to priority inbox. As you can see, important unread, starred is there, and then of course you have everything else underneath it. Really simple, quite clear and straightforward. Again, if you want to see more of these messages, you just need to go inside here and change show up to and change that inside there. And the likewise is the same here. So I might say show up to 25 messages that have been starred, for example. All that sort of stuff is available here. Now, you can customize this even further. So even if you're not happy with important and unread because it doesn't really mean anything, if you just want unread at the top, starred and everything else, and if you want to reorder the ordering of these, then maybe you want starred above important and unread and so forth. Let me go and show you how to do that because you can customize it further. Click the settings cog and then go into settings again. And now what you're looking for is looking for the tab called inbox, which is just here. It's just after labels and 2 down from general. So click on inbox. And when you get inside here, it says inbox type. It must state priority inbox here. Then you've got inbox sections here. So you've got important and unread, starred, you have an empty field, and you have everything else. So, you've got 4 different sections. 4 is the maximum you can have for priority inbox, which should be more than enough for a lot of people. So let's actually be a little bit more advanced here. Let's actually say perhaps we preferred to have emails from a particular person, for example. Let's say we wanted a particular label, like one for your manager, for example. You could do that too. So in this number 3, if I click on add section, and if I go to more options, so I can choose these options here, but if I go to more options, I can now see all my labels that I have here. So I might say I want it to be the finance label from within the Sugarfoot folder. So the Sugarfoot label, sorry. So if I click on that, it will add those sorts of emails here for me. And then all you need to do is click on save changes. If I wanted to change it from important and unread to just unread, just click on options and I just choose unread. If I wanted to change the ordering of these, so if I said actually I want Sugarfoot up here, that's fine, I can change that. Just switch them around and away I go. And then I just click on save changes. And what happens is it takes me back to my inbox and it shows me those changes that are reflected immediately. Notice now that I have more messages coming up in my unread. So you could be so efficient with this level of customization. So for those of you that are using filters and stuff like that for emails, to tag emails with a particular label for managers so you know that you're important, then this could be quite clever, quite a nice tool to use to manage workflows and everything else. As you can see, I have nothing in that particular label, which is the Sugarfoot and Finance one, so there's nothing inside there, but I can go in and delve a little bit deeper if I need to. So let's have a look at number 2. This is the top 10 things. This is, the 10 things that we're not using in Gmail. So this is number 2. This is filters and the ability to have rules to move and respond and do more things with your email conversations than you probably would have thought is possible. So I love filters and I like to use them as my own personal assistant for my inbox because that's exactly what they really are. Filters are like rules in Outlook, but just with more customization and a little bit more functionality. An easy example would be to automatically label an email from my manager. This of course works even better if I'm using priority inbox too. So let's set up some filters, and to do that we have to run a basic search first. So let's click the drop down in our search box right at the top here, so you can see where it says show search options. It's a very faint grey drop down icon, so if you click on that you get this these fields to help you search for emails more efficiently. Some people know about this, a lot of people that I've come across in my training actually haven't. So in the from, I'm going to start typing my manager's name. So notice as I start typing, it starts to search not only my directory, but it starts to search my email list to see who could pop up. So there's George, so I'm going to add George inside there, and I'm going to say now create filter with this search, which is this text link here at the bottom right. So I click on that and it's searching now all mail. It's searching all mail. So everything everywhere, it's going to search for all emails from george.smith, yeah, at ultimaestates.co.uk. So what I want it to do is I want it to go straight, I want it to apply the label. So I want it to stay in my inbox, but I want it to apply the label, George Manager. So I tick the tick box to apply the label. I click in the drop down to choose a label. Now, if you've got a label already here that you've already listed that you want to use, you can select it. If you haven't, you can click on new label. So I'll click on new label. I'll type in management there. I can, of course, nest it under another label if I wanted to and so forth, but I won't. If I click on create, there we are. So I have my label here. So I'm happy with that. It's management. And then I can choose, if I do want it to skip the inbox and go straight into the management label, then I can choose to skip the inbox. But I'm not going to do that in this instance. And if the search results actually would come back with anything, so it's found 6 matching conversations here, I can choose to apply this to the existing messages and create the filter. So let me click on that. So now what will happen is you'll notice that any messages from George have the management label attached. Now this is what I like about it. I can go along to my label here, which is management. It says 3 inside there, so there's 3 unread messages in there. But if I click on this and then choose a urgent color like the red, notice how it gives me a clear workflow view from a visual point of view about how to manage this particular type of email. What's more important is if you were using the priority inbox, if you're using a priority inbox, which is what I have here, I can now go back into my settings, go into my inbox and change that. So rather than having all sugarfoot and all that sort of stuff, what I can do is go inside here, move management to the top, move unread to number 2 in my priority list, click on save. Now I've got all my management emails here, which are all from George. I have my unread messages here, starred here, and everything else down here. It really is that simple. And that's the way to create a filter using a search. Now you can be extremely advanced. You can search for things by subject title. You can search for things from a particular person that has an attachment. You can go really, really far and delve really deep into this using lots of different things like search operators and so forth to get you going further. Now, let's say you've created a filter, you may have created it in error, or you want to edit it or delete it. If you want to do that, what you can do is go into settings, click on the settings card, go to settings again, and then you go into what we call filters. There's a filters tab. You click on that. Inside here is where you can go and edit and delete your existing filters that you may have created. So we're on to number 3 now, label sidebar overload. Have what you need, everything else hide. So as you can see here, I have not all my labels. Some of them are standard and I have a 1 or 2. I've come across people with labels going all the way down here. Listen, I ask the same question in every Gmail training session I have. How many of us have lots of labels and sub-labels in our sidebar? So many people have their hands up and I ask why. They look at me like they don't have a clue where I'm trying to take them. And a lot of them come back to me and say, look, Andrew, I'm just trying to recreate my Outlook world in my Gmail space. And I say to them, you don't necessarily have to do that. I always say, look, just keep things really tidy and really simple. Why don't you just keep the things that you're actively working on in your sidebar? Everything else you can hide. You can still use them, before you shoot me or leave a harsh comment. You can still file things inside of them if you wanted to, but you just don't need to have them actively in your sidebar all the time. Like this management one, for example. It's very rare that I'm going to go into the management label that goes into another sub-label to find an email on a particular date. We just search, right? So we're used to searching. So it's highly unlikely that we're going to do that. But we'll get into searching later because I've got a guarantee that I can tell you that I'm 99.9% certain for me, I've never come across anyone who can't find an email in Gmail using some of the tools that I'll show you later. But back to this labels. So let's say, for example, this management label, I can click on this drop down and I can go to under where it says in label list, I can hide. You must choose the label at the highest point within the hierarchy. So if you've got sub-labels that go into further, that have sub-labels, you can't hide the sub-labels or the sub-label. You have to hide the highest one in the hierarchy, which is this one, and I just choose hide. Now, before you mass panic and everything else, I've hidden the label. The label hasn't disappeared forever. I could still find it if I click on more. It will still be inside there. I can also, let's say, for example, this particular email here, if I wanted to file this inside the management label, I can still do that. It's still available for me to do that. And I could still find it inside there if I wanted to. So just because you hide it from your sidebar doesn't mean that you can't use it. I'm just saying that you should keep things that you are actively working on. Now, before you mass panic and say, I've hidden a label, how do I bring it back to life? Let me show you how to do that. What you need to do is you need to go across to the settings cog and click on settings, then click on settings again. And then what you need to do is go into where we will have our labels. So there's a labels tab next to general, so we'll click on that. And then you'll find there's lots of labels here that you're probably seeing and you're hiding. Notice that you can put some as show if there's got some unread messages inside there. Here's my management one with 7 conversations inside there. Under show in label list, which is the first column, I've got it as hidden. I can choose to show if it's got unread messages inside there, or I can just click on show. Once I click on show, notice my management label just pops back up in my list and it's there for me to go. So we're on to number 4, archive, for emails that don't need a label and for a clean inbox. So let's switch my inbox view to, let's say it was unread first, for example. So here is my inbox. And this depends on how you use your inbox. Some people are very meticulous, other people less so, and so forth. So here I have my inbox, and I now use my unread messages as my workflow. Now, a lot of you used to have this thing called a miscellaneous folder. I don't believe we need the miscellaneous folder anymore, and lots of people don't know about the archive button. They don't use it because they're not too sure what happens to it, and so forth and so forth. I've heard many stories about the archive button over the years. So I'm here to just simplify it for you, show you how to use it, so more people can understand it and more people can use it properly. So the archive button, all it literally does is it removes the inbox label. So if I go into Sarah's email here, you can see at the top there's an inbox label. Inbox itself is a label. Yes, that's right, inbox is a label. So we are so used to the inbox being the final stop for all our emails before we decide to file, keep, or delete. So in Gmail's world, this isn't strictly true. So I believe the inbox is something that we should be users to have email conversations for stuff that we're currently working on, things that we're waiting for responses on, things that you haven't responded to yet, unread messages, and so forth. So for those of you that are meticulous, that like a clean inbox at the end of every day, this is going to be very valuable to you, because what you can do now is you can literally click the archive button and it will literally remove this inbox label and put it in somewhere else, which we call all mail. Yep. So if I click on this archive button here, it's archived the conversation. It hasn't disappeared. You haven't lost it. All you need to do is go to more and then go to all mail. All mail is the final stopgap for everything in your mailbox. So all mail will hold everything in your inbox, every label apart from spam, bin or trash, depending on what country you're in. And this means that you no longer need that miscellaneous folder. Just click archive, because you can still search for this email. It doesn't mean I can't search for it. When I go into all mail, you can see that there's inbox label attached to some of these mails and so forth, and some of them don't have them. These are the things like drafts, don't have them. This is probably a sent mail and stuff like that. So you can see that there's a mail there that doesn't have it. If I wanted to put that back into my inbox, I could go into it and click on move to inbox and notice the inbox label reappears. Now, warning, this can happen, and I have seen it happen to lots of people, and lots of people go into a mass panic. if you remove a label from an email conversation which you've moved from the inbox, this will automatically archive your email. So let me show you an example of this. So let me go into my inbox. Let me take this message here from George. So let me just remove that inbox label. So let's say, for example, this particular email, I have moved into the management label. I've moved it into it, so it doesn't exist in my inbox. So if I go into my inbox, you will not find the training scheme email inside there anywhere. It just won't be inside there because I've moved it out of there. But if I go into management, I will find my training scheme email just here. Yeah. And the reason for that is because it doesn't have the inbox label. So it will only ever exist inside this management label here. Now, if for whatever reason I click on remove label, or I click on this X and remove it from the conversation, it disappears from here. Don't panic. All you've done is you've archived it. And what happens is, if you need to go into more, go to all mail, you will then find your email inside here, or you can search for it. You will find your mail. I have yet to come across anyone who has lost an email for whatever reason. So you can find it inside here, or using some of the search techniques I'll show you later, you'll be able to bring it back to life inside here. Does that make sense? So if you remove one by accident, you will find it inside here. So where's my George? There it is, training scheme. So I have the email here. If I wanted to put it back into the inbox or move it back into that label, I can just click on label, click on management, click apply, and my email's brought back to life. I can go back inside here and I can find it. Notice that when you tick a tick box next to an email, no matter where you go, you'll find it still ticked inside there. So it's quite clever. So that can be quite useful and handy sometimes too. So there's the warning. Hopefully I've simplified that for you as well. So I know this tip alone will make more people feel so relieved because they can find emails that they thought they'd lost before. I think this is now a pretty good segue into the power of search. I love Gmail search. So search is so much more powerful here than ever before. There's more to search than you actually think there is. The title to this section is no lie, and let's be honest, Google was founded on search and its ability to deliver us useful and meaningful results, and thankfully the same is true for Gmail. I have yet to come across a search tool so powerful for email. So let's have a look here. Gmail takes search one stage further by giving users the ability to use what we call search operators. This means using a command, we can make our search extremely focused and extremely relevant. So let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. I'm now going to go and find an email from Sarah, who I've been clicking on before. So I'm going to find an email from Sarah that has an attachment which is a Microsoft Word document. So let's break this down into simple stages for you. Let me jump back into my inbox and let me go into my search bar at the top here. So the first things first is I'm now looking for an email from Sarah. So I must start with a search operator which is called from. So I type in from. Notice how Gmail's trying to help me find a search operator or a particular person, yeah? And these are based on previous searches and things that I've done in the past. So I type in from and I do my colon, yeah? So then I type in Sarah, I spell her name correctly. Notice now it's searching my directory and helping me to find the person I'm looking for. So there's Sarah. I'm going to click on Sarah's name there. So now it does the search for Sarah. So I've got from Sarah at automatemistakes.co.uk. But remember, I'm looking for emails from Sarah that has an attachment that's a Microsoft Word document. So I step one stage further, add a space and type in has. Has is another search operator, and you notice that we now have different options like has circle, has attachment, has photos, and there's lots of others. But I want to choose has attachment, so I'm going to click on has attachment. So now it's filtered it even further and said emails that have an attachment from Sarah Banfield. Okay, so I'm going to go one stage further and type in another search operator called file name. Notice now that we have other options like file name doc, JPEG, PDF, and so forth. So I can go through and choose which one I want. So I could choose file name doc, but that's probably not necessarily true. What I might be looking for is a .doc, and I actually might be looking for or a docx. because we know that Microsoft Word documents have the X at the end if people are using the newer format, and if they're using the older one, they would have this one. Now when I do the search, it brings back my relevant search results, and by typing in "or" in capitals, that's also an operator in itself that it says I'm looking for anything that ends in this or this. And then I found my email. So you'll find that it's extremely quick. The search is extremely powerfully quick. And I think you'll find it so much easier. This is the reason why I say it's impossible for you not to find an email inside Gmail. You will find your emails, I promise you. There are literally over 20 different types of search operators available. I even like the fact that I can filter my messages by stars. So let's say, for example, you were looking for emails of a particular star, you could find that email. So you might, or you want to search for a particular email inside a label, you can do all of that. You can do label, or you can has blue info, which is a type of star, or you might type in yellow star or yellow bang, which is the exclamation mark. If I hit yellow star, it will find all emails that has the yellow star attached to it, and all those sort of things. And there's lots of them, and I'm going to show some on the screen now, and I'm showing some on the screen now, so you can use lots of different ones. I recommend that you, we've got an ebook for this sort of video as well, so I recommend that you download the ebook because it has the different sort of search operators you can use, especially the ones for the stars. So you'll probably find that quite useful. Another thing that's quite useful for search, sometimes you can't remember all the search operators, but if you click this drop down here to show search options, you can become quite specific. So you want to search inside a particular label, from, to, subject, include the words. You see that it says has yellow star, doesn't have, the has attachment is a tick box here, date range and all that sort of stuff. You can do that from all inside here. So search is truly powerful. So, you know, have fun searching for all those emails that you haven't been able to find before. Okay, so let's go and have a look at number 6. Number 6 is the people widget. So this now allows you to email, to chat, and to book meetings with groups of people. I love it. So a handy trick that will save you so much time. You know, when before you used to have 2 screens side by side, you used to try and copy and paste people from the email chain into the invite to make sure that everyone was copied across. Don't have to do that anymore, thank God. I can literally book a meeting with a group of people inside an email chain with one click, just simply one click. So let me switch to classic, and let me now find an email. Let's choose this housing project plan one that I'm going to show you this example on. So here's the email. It says here on the right hand side, this is your people widget here on the right hand side. It says people in brackets, it's got the number 2. So it tells me there's 2 other people who are in this email chain. Yours may say 3 or 5. So you need to find an email with at least 2 other people inside there. So you can do this effectively. So imagine, for example, if you're at a company and you're using Google Apps for business, you probably have an email chain with maybe, I don't know, 10, 14 people on it. If you click on where it says people, you'll notice that it comes with the people's names in the list here. And you also have, normally you'll have 3 icons. We haven't got chats fully enabled here for everyone. So you would have a chat icon, group, email this group, and you also have schedule a meeting in this group. If I click on this calendar icon, it will now copy everyone who's in the email chain and put them as guests, as you can see here. They are guests to the meeting, George and Sarah. It will take the subject of the email, make it the subject of the meeting, and then I can go through and add all the other information, including using Find a Time to see if everyone's diary is free and all that sort of stuff, and then hit save. So much simpler, a lot cleaner, and very, very quick. So you will find that this is really, really simple. If I suddenly decided that, if I had lots more people and there was a couple of people that I didn't want, that's fine. Just click the X next to their name and they disappear, or mark people as optional. Choice is truly yours, but we thought we'd show you that trick because I think it's very, very useful and it saved tons of people, especially PAs, a lot of time. Okay, so now we're on to number 7, add to tasks. So create your own reminder from an email. So how many times have you read an email and thought to yourself, I need to action something, but I'll do it later and forget? Probably a few times, hopefully not too many times. But thankfully, Gmail gives us the ability to have an email open and to add that email to a task list, which can be viewed later on. It can be viewed on your smartphone or on your tablet, your Android smartphone that is, or your Android tablet too. So let's have a look at this email here. So here's an email from Sarah, a business development email of some kind. So here's an email from Sarah, and what I want to do is put this into a task list because, you know what, I haven't got time to deal with it right now. I see that it's important, but I haven't got the chance to deal with it. I'm going to come back to it later. To do that, I click on More, and then I go to Add to Tasks. Notice now at the bottom right of your screen, this pop-up comes up with your task list. Yep. So it's added Sarah's email to my task list. The thing that I like about it the most is I can go into edit it and put a due date. I can put some extra notes about it, or I can move it to another list. So I can have more than one task list. I can have an Andrew Martin's task list. I can have a project task list. I can have things to do before the end of the day task list. I can have whatever I want, and I can move this particular task to that list if I wanted to. If you finish with it, just tick the tick box. It puts a line through it and it scores it out to say that it's been completed. The thing that I like about the most is I could be anywhere in my mailbox, in any email, and if I wanted to jump to this email, I could go into here and say business development. What do I have to do with that? I can click on related email and it will jump me back to the email so I can get reacquainted with what it is that I'm supposed to be doing and then just crack on and get through my actual list. And I think lots of people will probably find that task list actually quite helpful. Another important thing actually is the task list will also pop up in your calendar too, so they'll help to keep you on track. So when you go into your calendar, you can also choose to show your tasks. You notice under My Calendars, you have tasks, and those tasks are here on the right-hand side. Again, if you click on it, it will open a new tab and take you into that email from within inside your calendar. So that's quite clever and cool. Okay, number 8, keyboard shortcuts. When it comes to moving around your mailbox quickly, Gmail makes that simple with keyboard shortcuts. Almost everything is possible, including composing a new message, replying, forwarding, and even returning back to your inbox. So to activate keyboard shortcuts or to see what's available, if you're on a Mac, you need to press Shift and question mark, and that pops it up. If you're on a PC, just press question mark, and that'll pop it up too. Now, if you have this yellow banner here in the middle that says the following keyboard shortcuts are currently disabled, and you have a text link saying enabled, you need to click on enable to enable keyboard shortcuts. So let me do that first. And then the yellow bar goes away. Now we're enabled to use keyboard shortcuts. So these are the different keyboard shortcuts that you can use. There are tons of them. Probably not going to be able to remember them all, but there's lots and lots and lots. Every day I use things like C to compose, R to reply, A to reply to all, F to forward, and things like that. If I ever wanted to do compose, reply, reply to all, or forward in a new window, just press and hold Shift. Yep. As it says here, press and hold Shift, and that will enable you to do that, and it will pop it out into a new window. So let's show you some of these. So if I press C, so this is the new compose experience. So C to compose. If I wanted to open a new compose window, for example, I could press D on my keyboard, and that would open a new compose window just like that if I wanted to. So it'll pop it out for me just like that. That's quite clever and cool. If I'm in this email with Sarah and I choose to reply or to forward, I can just hit R to reply. There you are. And I can respond to that mail there from Sarah if I wanted to. Choice is truly mine how I wish to use this. So I really like that. Let's say I'm in this email here and I wanted to jump back to my inbox. I would use the command G, which is go to, and then you press I to go back to your inbox. And I like doing all of this because you can go anywhere. You can go to your mail, you can go all over the place. So you can have really good fun with this. So, and the thing that I say to go to all mail is because normally to get to all mail, you have to go into your sidebar, click on more, and then click on all mail. Pretty long-winded. I can move my fingers pretty quick around the keyboard and get where I want. So let's say, for example, I want to go to all mail. I hit escape to come out of anything that I'm in. So to make sure I'm not typing in the search bar, I'm not typing in an email, I'm not typing in the compose box. So that's okay. I press G followed by A I'm now in all mail. You can see it says all mail. I'm now in my all mail. If I want to go back to my inbox, GI, I'm now in my inbox. It's really simple, and you can find yourself moving around and doing that. There's one more I like to do. I like to jump into my search box a lot of the time. So if you want to do that, all you need to do is just press the the question mark or the / key, and that will take you straight into your search box where you can type in any gobbledygook, like George, for example. I can type that in and run a search. Here's another nice thing. You get when you type in someone's email address at the top here, you get this nice people widget and any contact information like telephone numbers and so forth, and you can have a quick hangout there if you wanted to as well. Now, here's a tip. There are some keyboard shortcuts that PC users can use and Mac users can't. One of them that's quite annoying is the delete key. So if you're a Mac user, you'll notice that the PC users have a dedicated hash key on the keyboard. However, we don't have one, so we have to press Alt and 3, which is option 3, to bring up a hashtag. You know that if you're a Twitter user or someone that's using Google+. So we'll be using Gmail's Labs, which we'll come on to in a second, to dedicate a key to our keyboard, and dedicate a key on a keyboard, which I haven't found a use for yet, that we'll use to delete emails. And we'll be touching on that next. So you'll need to activate a lab called Custom Keyboard Shortcuts. Once activated, you'll be able to designate a key for deleting email conversations. I would dedicate there's a funny squiggly S key, which is just underneath your escape key at the top left of your keyboard. I haven't found a use for it yet, so that's now my delete key when I want to delete emails or group of emails just in a couple of clicks, so you can do that. So that's a nice segue onto Labs. So let's go and have a look at Labs. Labs add more functionality to your Gmail mailbox and make you love it even further. So let's go forth. So I know a lot of you are probably thinking, what more functionality? I've already learned lots already, Andrew, and I don't want to learn anything more. But or some of you are just thinking, I know some of this stuff already. This might be useful to me. Lots of people don't know that Labs exist, but it will just make you love your Gmail box even more. And I like to do different things. As you can see, maybe you've noticed that my chat is on the right-hand side, which a lot of you will have your chat on the bottom left here and so forth. So you can play and mix around with it, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. So Labs are like plugins that add more functionality or change the appearance of your mailbox to deliver you a greater experience. Google call them crazy experimental stuff, but that isn't quite, it's not quite ready for full rollout or what Google call prime time. So this means that it's not ready to roll out to the full Gmail universe to start using. However, Google do sometimes have what they call a graduation day for a select number of labs where they've been used widely, haven't broken, they're pretty good, they've sustained time, people have provided feedback on them, and they kind of graduate them and make them fully fledged features, which is pretty cool. We are sure there's more reasons why Google graduate the labs, but those are just some of them. It's also important that to note that labs can change, they can break, and they can disappear at any point, if Google want them to. However, the ones that I'll be sharing with you have been around for a little while now, and lots of people are using them. I always recommend them, so let's have a look. So let's have a look at a few of them. To get to Labs, you need to go to your settings cog on the right hand side, click on settings, and then go settings again, and then click on Labs. So here we are inside Labs. So we have our Labs here. So what you need to do is type in this search for Labs. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is right-side, and it's right side chat by Emily C. So you don't have to enable and then save the changes one after one. You can just click on enable, go back into the search box and enable another one. So right side chat, which is the first thing that I spoke to you about earlier on, this is a nice little lab that moves your chat to the right hand side of your browser window. This is useful because it creates more space for your labels. For those of you that are label fanatics, it makes more space for your labels on the left hand side. There's another one called Undo Send by UzoF. So all you need to do is go inside your search box there and type in undo send, and it should come up with a lab called Undo Send by UzoF. Again, click on enable. You don't need to click on save changes yet. We're going to have another look at one more. Essentially what Undo Send does is, and I love this lab because what it does is it stops sending, it gives you a predetermined time to stop sending a message to someone, just in case you've noticed a spelling mistake, or you've forgot to attach the attachment, or you forgot to add a particular person to it, and so forth. you've got a predetermined time to stop that sending. But we'll come on to that in just a second. Another lab that I want to talk to you about is one by Peter B. and Michael K., which is the preview pane. So for a lot of you who have come from the Outlook world, you may want to use preview pane because you missed that split screen view. You know, you get the horizontal or vertical split. You probably missed that. So if you want to bring that back to life, you can do that now by enabling this preview pane. Pane is P-A-N-E rather than I'm in pane. So click on enable, click on save changes, and that refreshes your mailbox and takes you back. Now, if you've enabled preview pane only, you probably haven't noticed anything different. Hopefully, if you enabled right side chat, your chat's moved to the right hand side, okay, but this is the toggle split right here. So you need to click on that to change your split. Yeah, so as you can see, my email's on the left. This is the my email's on the left, and my conversations will be here. So if I click on this email conversation here, the content of that is on the right hand side. If I want to change that to a horizontal split from a vertical, it's a couple clicks away. If I want to turn it off, just click it and it goes off. It's really that simple. Now with the undo send, let me show you how this works. So let me send. So rather extreme example. Don't hate Sarah, clearly. But rather extreme example, but I can send this. The whole HR thing, training message inside there, just to protect me. So what I can do is I can click on send. And when I click on send, you notice for a predetermined time, I have this undo button. So I can click on undo and essentially it recalls the message. Not really. What it does is it delays sending your emails by that predetermined time. That predetermined time is probably going to be something like 10 seconds. And you can choose from 5, 10, 20 or 30 seconds, I believe. So if you want to change the time that you have, you need to go into settings, then settings again, and you'll notice midway through, just underneath whether you want conversation view on or off, undo send is there and it says 10 seconds. There you are, 5, 10, 20 or 30 seconds. So you can choose whichever one you want. You probably find that you might put it onto 20 seconds. Just remember though, when you send a message, it will delay sending that message by that time. If I choose 20 seconds and hit save, that's cool. But here's a warning. So let me change the context of that. So let's say this is the message that I'm going to click and send. So if I click on send and I choose to go into my starred messages, my opportunity to click undo has disappeared. Yeah, so that's a big warning. If you click away from the message, or you go into another label or whatever, or you go into another message, the opportunity to click undo has disappeared. It means that it now sends that email straight away. So just be careful of that. Yep. Cool. So we're now on to our final one. This is number 10. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for stopping and sticking with me. Here's number 10. So this is about attaching files to calendar invites without using Google Drive. Don't know if you've done it before, if you've been using Gmail for a while and you've been using Google Calendar for a while. If you attach something inside a calendar invite from within Google Calendar, it's difficult for someone who's not using a Google account, so to speak. And lots of people don't necessarily want to keep on uploading files into their Google Drive. So here's another way. From within Gmail, you can actually send out a calendar invite. So if I click on Compose, I'm using the new Compose experience. You can do it if you're using the old one. Doesn't really matter. So let's say, for example, I'm now going to send an email to George and Sarah. I'm not sending an email, I'm doing a calendar invite here. So I've added George and Sarah. Those are the people that I want to be as guests to my meeting. So I can do that. And I'm going to put in here training plan for 2013. Yep. So I've added my subject, I've added my guests. And if I want to now add the calendar invite, I hover over the attachments icon and I get this insert invitation, the calendar icon pop up here. So when I click on this pops up. So it says, what's the meeting about? It's about the training plan for 2013. So it's taken the subject of the email, made it the subject of the actual meeting. Date and time, I can go in and adjust that. So let me go in and say 28 at 2:30. It's now going to search their calendars and see if I have access to them. and it will show me their availability at that date and time. And if I choose where, so I say meeting room Darkfish, the strange meeting room we have here. I can choose what calendar to select to go into. So for those of you that are using multiple calendars, you can choose that from inside here. And the description is the calendar invite body. So I can say there to discuss plans. And then I can click on insert invitation. So you can see there it's inserted the invitation. If I need to edit it further, I can do by clicking on edit and so forth. But to add my attachments, I can click on attach files, and I might want to attach things like the about stacks. I might want to attach this script and so forth, and a few items. So I click on open, and I attach the files that I want to attach. And essentially what it does is when I click on send, it sends the email and it sends it as an invite. So when they get it, these people who could be or could not be using a Google account are able to get in and download it. And I find that so useful for a lot of people. Tons of people always question me on it. Lots of people find this tip really, really useful. So when you click on send, if they're using Outlook, it comes through to them as an attachment as opposed to them clicking on a link and requesting access to that document. It just gets rid of all of that hassle and makes it so much easier. Of course, I can go into my calendar and that particular invite will be inside there. So there it is, training plan for 2013. So if I go to edit that event from within my calendar, I can do that all inside here too. You know, that's completely fine. I can edit it, add more information, etc., etc. And it just tells people it's just a much more efficient way than just having to click on an attachment. The only bad thing though is it doesn't particularly state that I've added an attachment. So maybe in your description, you pop inside the attachment added and the name of the attachment that you've added so people know. So that could be really, really useful. Well, that's the 10 things you're not using in Gmail. Hopefully you've found some great tips and tricks. Please feel free to send me some feedback to andrew@thehumanmanualonline.com about the video. If you want the ebook as well, the ebook will be free. You can download that. You'll be able to download that from the Amazon Kindle store. It'll be up there very soon. Just send me an email and I'll make sure I email you once it's available. You know, just send me some comments. Don't forget to rate or provide any feedback about the video below. When emailing, make sure you let me know what video or what book you're referring to, if you want to suggest some improvements or suggest some other tips and tricks we can add. This is the first part in a series of what we call quick reads, so make sure you check those out. If you're interested in hiring a training company to come in and show you how to get the most out of Gmail and Google Apps, just give us a call. Our number is 0203-0123-519, or visit our website, which is just thm.so/training, or thehumanmanualonline.com/training. Thanks for watching. I hope you got lots of value out of it, and I hope to see you again at the next video. All the best.